business with the people are the answer.
Should your money be going to fund this?
Sort of trade union for Northern Conservative MPs.
And should public money be funding groups whose leaders do this?
A coup is when you use illegitimate procedures to try and overturn somebody who is in office. Coup is the wrong word.
How taxpayers' cash moves around Westminster isn't always obvious. And what do MPs get for spending your money?
There is no connection between your membership and receiving political donations.
Sky News' Westminster Accounts investigation is following the money through every part of our political system. Almost everyone knows the price of an MP's salary, nearly £90,000 paid by public money. What's less widely known is a much bigger sum, around £250,000, is given to MPs each year to fund their office, travel, buildings and staff.
And political research. Each MP can choose to subscribe to research groups using your money. And looking at those accounts sounds straightforward, but can take you to some unexpected places. This is the leaderboard of how much public money MPs have diverted to support their political campaigns. Names of bodies you almost certainly won't recognise, but accounting for a huge amount of taxpayers' cash. £6.8 million of public money in just this Parliament alone from December 2019 until the start of this year. So where's that money going? These groups, with the extremely mundane names, are central party research groups. Each major party has one. At the top is the Parliamentary Research Unit. Conservative MPs have given it over £3 million in public money to fund research which every Tory MP can then use. It's been going on for years and is relatively uncontroversial. These groups are different. They are factions within the Conservative and Labour parties, and they've been receiving a lot of public cash to support their campaigning. In the last 2 years, a total of more than £300,000 has gone to these factional groups. The oldest and best known is the European Research Group, instrumental in forcing the EU referendum and known for toppling Tory prime ministers, famously fronted by Jacob Rees-Mogg through the years of Parliament's Brexit chaos. Now, 36 different Conservative MPs have diverted public money to the ERG in this Parliament alone. But this group's actually been around for a lot longer. Since 2010, they've received nearly £400,000 of your money, all diverted by MPs to support their work as the staunchest Brexiteers in Parliament. In this Parliament, they've been overtaken by a new faction, the Northern Research Group, a collection of Tory MPs from the north of England led by ex-Cabinet Minister Jake Berry. It's been handed £140,000 since the end of 2019. And here are the MPs who've diverted their public funding into the group. 41 of them in total, each giving thousands of pounds of their budget to one of the factions in the Conservative Party. Now, we wanted to understand what they were doing and why the public should be funding it.
To answer those questions, we went to the Northern Research Group's summer conference in Doncaster.
What the North needs is bold conservatism, not socialism under Keir Starmer.
NRG founder Jake Berry, the most important person in this room. I asked him what his group is really all about.
The NRG was formed as a sort of trade union for Northern Conservative MPs to use our collective muscle to campaign for things like more investment in the North, to change government policy so it favoured things like education in the North. We've been supremely successful at that.
Can you just explain why public money should be going into an organisation like this, given what you do?
Well, there are two parts to the Northern Research Group. There's part of it which is political, because we are MPs and we campaign in our constituency. But the core function of it is a shared services model for MPs, which, as you say, is publicly funded in the same way the Labour Party has a similar system. It's publicly funded, and that only goes to support colleagues in their parliamentary duties. So it helps with things like research.
Tech-savvy people, get them living there in
Public money meant to fund research. But are the MPs that sign up getting something in return?
Looking closely at the data, and a striking pattern starts to emerge. Let's look at one Northern Research Group MP, Matt Vickers. He's the MP for Stockton South. Now, in mid-June 2021, he authorised £2,500 from his office allowance to go to the NRG. 3 weeks later, he was the recipient of a £2,500 campaign donation from the northern broadband provider IX Wireless. And this is Conservative MP James Davies. He also diverted £2,500 from his office budget to the NRG in mid-June 2021. Just 3 days later, he declared a political donation for exactly the same amount from the same company again, IX Wireless. Overall, MPs have diverted £139,000 of public money to fund the NRG, while IX Wireless has given £134,000 in campaigning cash towards NRG members. 24 MPs have all declared donations from IX Wireless. 22 of them have put some public money towards funding the Northern Research Group.
The origin of different sources of cash really matters to MPs. Public funding is tightly controlled, but donations come with far fewer restrictions and, importantly, can be used to fund their re-election campaign.
One of the MPs that put money towards the Northern Research Group told me that they knew that if they signed up to put public funds towards the group, then a donation would follow not long after. We knew the money would come. That's why there was a deadline, they said. All of this enough to trigger a formal investigation.
The Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority is the watchdog for how taxpayers' money is spent in Parliament. We showed them what we'd uncovered, and they said, in light of research by Sky News, IPSA has started an assurance review to assess whether the NRG has contravened the rules surrounding direct payments of subscriptions from MP business cost budgets. IPSA will also conduct assurance reviews of the other new pool services. This means a watchdog review into all the new research groups and big questions for the NRG.
If you look at the data, the match between the money put in the public funding and the donations that are coming to the same MPs,
So I'm not sure, do you have a list of the members of the NRG? Because I know you've tried to use these figures before to say there's something wrong. Look, I actually think you're doing a massive disservice at Sky, trashing northern businesses who want to support northern MPs. It is completely, I don't know whether you're alleging some sort of illegality or something wrong here. Let me answer your question.
Yeah.
It is completely wrong when businesses want to go out and support northern MPs who are transforming the business community for them, for those businesses then to be trashed in the media for doing something completely legal and straightforward. And I actually think if we want to live in a country where we celebrate business, trashing them for supporting political parties is a completely counterproductive thing to do.
We're not trashing, we're just asking whether it's normal that David Mundell, who's a Scottish MP, kind of routed £2,500 of his office allowance to the NRG. 2 days later, he gets £2,500 in a donation from IX Wireless. People just look at that and find it odd. Can you just explain what's going on there?
Well, there's no, as I said, there is no connection between your membership and receiving political donations.
Oversees all of this is...
Experts suggest the time has come to review the whole system of public funding for research.
This method of funding political research has been around for many years. What's changed, I think, in the last Parliament is the scale at which the public funds are being used to fund specific interest groups, particularly on the Conservative side, because the Conservatives have been in government. And I think what this really useful work from Sky has revealed is that there's an issue here that the regulator, which is IPSA in this case, needs to, I think, have a think about. The circumstances have changed. It's appropriate to take a step back to say, is this how public funds should be being used? And for MPs to have a chance to take a view on that.
Today, how your money moves through our political system. Tomorrow, Sky News' Westminster Accounts investigation reveals the thousands of hours MPs spend working in second jobs.